Man overboard. Everyone needs to be able to respond quickly and effectively to this emergency. Prevention is better than cure, so make sure you don't fall overboard yourself. Good personal protective equipment helps, especially in heavy weather and when the decks are wet or icy. But even in good weather, safety pays. Keep to the company regulations and procedures. When working at or near the ship's side, take extra precautions, extra time, and more care. If there is any risk at all of falling over the side, a safety harness, perhaps a life jacket, and someone to supervise safety are required.
Guys, you are to stay here, don't leave him alone. When he has come down, inform me. So his time is about 13:55. And about
the bridge must be informed when the work starts and when it ends. In cold conditions, an immersion suit or an insulated survival suit must be worn. Seasickness, depression, even alcohol consumption can lead to people falling overboard. Everyone should keep an eye out for these circumstances. On board, everyone has their regular duties and habits. If you are ever concerned that someone is missing, make the effort to check where they are. On passenger ships and ferries, there can be thousands of passengers and hundreds of crew. It is everyone's job to make those not familiar with the sea aware of the risk of falling overboard.
On these railways is a very dangerous practice, right?
Safety is the first priority in all ship operations. This is doubly true when working anywhere near the ship's side. What should you do if you see a person fall overboard? You must keep them in sight and attract as much attention as you can. Shout repeatedly, "Man overboard," and "port side" or "starboard side" as appropriate.
Man overboard!
Don't stop shouting until you are certain that someone has heard you. Keep looking and point in the direction of the person.
Man overboard!
Keep the individual in sight, moving aft if need be. If a lifebuoy is to hand, throw it over the side. As soon as someone makes contact with you, get them to inform the bridge.
Man overboard, starboard side. Man overboard, starboard side.
If no one hears you, contact the bridge as soon as you lose sight of the person in the water. An immediate response is crucial to the success of recovering the person. Every second counts. What should you do if you are unfortunate enough to fall into the water? At first, do as little as possible. Don't bother to take off your shoes, or they provide insulation and buoyancy. It's not worth wasting the effort to take them off. In cold water, you will be subject to cold shock. You will breathe rapidly for up to 5 minutes, and your heart rate will go up. Don't swim. Do as little as possible until this phase has passed. After that, maintain your body heat by tightening up any wrist, neck, and ankle fastenings of your clothing. Preserve your energy by swimming as little as possible. Look for the lifebuoy that will be thrown by the ship. If you can reach it, swim towards it and turn it over an upraised arm. Once you have got into the lifebuoy, move as little as possible. In rough conditions, whether you have a lifebuoy or not, turn your back to the wind and waves to keep your mouth and nose clear of spray. Movement uses up energy and also increases heat loss by moving water in and out through your clothing. Keep your legs together. Keep calm. Be patient. The ship will return. What should the officer of the watch do in the case of a man overboard? Precise response will depend on your ship's company manual and the ship's position. Open water or coastal waters? We are going to look at a response in open water with no traffic nearby.
Man overboard! Starboard side!
Quick action is essential. There's a lot to do. The precise order will depend on the circumstances.
Man overboard, starboard side! Man overboard, starboard side!
Man overboard, starboard side, understood?
Among the first things to do are to record the ship's position and release the lifebuoy and smoke float. Then, if the man is still alongside, take avoiding action. Alter course, turning the helm to the side of the man overboard. Giving 3 blasts not only warns other ships, but also helps the casualty who is made aware that the ship is taking action. If there are other ships in the vicinity, the 3 blasts should be repeated. The engineers need to be informed of the situation.
All hands, man overboard, starboard side. Man overboard, starboard side.
Yes, mate.
Man overboard, starboard side, sir.
How long ago?
1 minute, sir.
Okay. You are hard to starboard?
Yes, sir, hard to
You
starboard.
released the buoy?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Original code was
300,
300?
sir.
Okay. Chief mate? Chief mate, go down, prepare the rescue boat. We have a man overboard, starboard side.
Okay, man overboard, starboard side. Yes, I will prepare everything and keep you updated.
Hard to port.
Hard to port, sir.
If a helmsman is available, he can be instructed to take the wheel. Otherwise, the officer of the watch will have to do everything himself.
Rudder is hard to port.
Hard port.
Nearby ships and proximity to the coast will alter the navigational options. A common maneuver is the Williamson turn. This involves putting the rudder hard over. It takes the ship back on the opposite heading.
Mr. Mate, make a general broadcast over the VHF. Pan, 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 man overboard in our position.
Yes, sir, understood. Pan, 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 pan. This is Metania. Lima,
Yes, sir.
X-ray, Alpha.
We have a man overboard, starboard.
Additional lookouts should be called to the high points of the ship to help spot the person in the water when the ship returns to the datum point. Much will depend on the weather and visibility. We have given an example of what the officer of the watch needs to do. Each circumstance will be different. The first priority actions are releasing a lifebuoy and smoke float, altering course, recording the position and notifying the master. The secondary priorities are sounding the general alarm, getting help to the bridge, notifying the engineers, notifying nearby traffic on the VHF, and sounding 3 long blasts on the ship's whistle. The precise order of these actions will be determined by the circumstances, but the response must be swift. You need to consider your own ship and manuals, as well as the conditions existing at the time. But what is the right procedure when no one was seen falling overboard?
Good morning, Captain. This cook has just informed me that they could not find the steward.
It may be some time before anyone realizes that the individual is missing.
And he was last seen at 10 o'clock last night.
Circumstances will determine whether the master stops the ship immediately or continues on course. In all events, a full search must be carried out.
We should sound the general emergency alarm, and I'll take the con and I'll sound the whistle at the same time.
You've got the con, sir.
Thank you.
It is essential to muster the crew to mount a thorough search. Friends and colleagues of the missing person should be asked when and where the person was last seen and where they might be on board.
Captain, we've mustered. Everyone is present except the steward.
Even though from their absence at the muster it can be presumed that they've gone overboard, an exhaustive search is still required.
We're going to start a search party. You will go up to the forecastle. You will go down to the engine room and search all the stores. You will search the accommodation and all the storerooms and the spare cabins.
They could be lying injured or have fallen asleep in an empty cabin. These possibilities must be eliminated.
We have carried out a thorough search of the ship, and the steward is missing and definitely not on board.
Yes, thanks for that. We can assume, I think, that the steward has gone over the side, and we now have a man overboard situation.
Once the master is certain the missing person is not on board, he will have to assume the worst and estimate, as best he can, the position that they fell overboard.
Okay, second mate, where is our position now?
Right, we're down here, sir.
The ship will have to turn back and notify shipping in that area by radio that there is a man in the water. The Rescue Coordination Centre and the operator need to be informed.
And, I'd like you to get the DSC set up to send a pan-pan message to all stations. Helmsman, hard to starboard.
Hard to starboard, Captain.
Thank you.
The rescue boat will need to be prepared. The rescue boat, or the lifeboat designated as the rescue boat, must be capable of being launched within 5 minutes, and the crew need to be well trained and have exercised the launch and recovery frequently. On older ships, an open lifeboat may be the designated rescue boat. Whatever the type of rescue boat on your ship, make sure that you are familiar with its arrangements. Some ships have a totally enclosed lifeboat as the designated rescue boat. Some of these are fitted with specialist equipment for recovering people from the water. A rescue boat has a minimum crew of 3, and all must have immersion suits. In water colder than 15 degrees Celsius, these need to be insulated immersion suits. The rescue boat may have special equipment to aid recovery of a person from the water, and this should be checked before launch. In a real emergency, this will be checked while the ship is turning. The rescue boat must be equipped with thermal protective aids, TPAs. These will be essential in caring for a casualty recovered from cold water. Once the boat is ready, the bridge is notified. If the casualty is visible from the bridge, all well and good. But what if they're not? Then the ship will have to go into a search pattern. These are contained in the MERSAR and IAMSAR manuals, which should be available on your ship. One search pattern featured is the sector search. This is for use when the position of the person is known within close limits. Starting from the datum point and proceeding on the reciprocal heading to the original course, the ship goes 2 miles and then turns 120 degrees to starboard. Each turn in the pattern is a 120-degree turn to starboard. A further 5 such turns over a triangular pattern brings the ship back to the datum point. If the search is unsuccessful, the pattern is begun again, reoriented at 30 degrees to starboard. This pattern gives a very strong chance of detection close to the datum. It also spreads out the search very quickly over the probable area. Other search patterns for use in different circumstances are contained in the manuals. Once the ship has returned to the position marked or estimated as where the casualty went overboard, the challenge is to find the person in the water. As many people as possible go to the bridge wing. The high vantage point helps. Where possible, search and rescue operations should continue until all reasonable hope of rescuing survivors has passed.
Over there. See? There.
Captain, I'll say 1 man, starboard side 1 point.
Once they have been sighted, the bridge informs the rescue boat of the person's position, and at the appropriate moment, the order to launch is given.
Chief mate?
Yes, Captain.
Yes, prepare the rescue boat, man overboard, starboard is at the moment fine at the starboard bow.
Whatever the type of rescue boat, the crew must stay sitting down during the descent. Some fast rescue boats are fitted with a single hook attached to the fall. Regulations state that these boats should be fitted with a release mechanism capable of both offload and onload release. Some administrations allow the use of a hook attached to the fall, provided that it has multiple safety checks built into its operation. This rescue boat is fitted with such a system. In this exercise, the crew wait until the boat is in the water and use the offload release. It is safe to do this in these calm conditions, but if there is any sea, it may be safer to operate the onload release with the boat just above the water. Once in the water, the fall goes slack and the hook releases automatically. The cable falls away and the boat is free. The success of a man overboard recovery will depend on the skill and training of the rescue boat crew. For them, regular drills are essential. The casualty should be recovered from the water using the correct procedure. Once the casualty has been sighted, the rescue boat crew must determine whether or not he is conscious, and, if he is, establish that he can see them. Then, the boat approaches with the wind at about 45 degrees to the bow, so that the casualty is brought in on the windward side of the boat. This will require the full effort of 2 trained people. The first priority of any rescue operation is the safety of the boat crew. If any one of them becomes another casualty, the entire operation is put in jeopardy. Even if the casualty is conscious, he should do as little as possible during the rescue. Care must be taken, as depending on conditions, the casualty may be suffering from near drowning, hypothermia, and dehydration. In a cold sea, they may well be too weak to hold a line. Equipment such as Jason's cradles, nets, and even stretchers can all be used to help get the person into the rescue boat. Everyone who has tried it knows how difficult this part of the operation can be. If the casualty is conscious and not in danger of drowning, every effort should be made to keep them horizontal when they are brought on board. If they are unconscious, they will be at risk of drowning, and should be brought on board as quickly as possible. Once aboard, the casualty should be laid flat in the rescue boat, with the head to the stern. They may need to be kept warm with the TPAs. If they're not breathing, then mouth-to-mouth resuscitation must be started. Whether they are unconscious or not, first aid based on the ABC principle will be needed. That is, A, check airway. Then B for breathing. And thirdly, C, check circulation and pulse. This may be difficult in a rapidly moving rescue boat. The diagnostic and paramedical skills needed to deal effectively with severe hypothermia, near drowning, injury, and unconsciousness are beyond the scope of this video. Once the boat makes way, the bow will rise and the casualty's head will be lower than their legs. This helps protect the heart and circulation. One member of the rescue boat crew should stay with the rescued person to observe and help. Good first aid training is an essential skill of the rescue boat crew. Even if the person is conscious and says that they feel well, they must still be kept horizontal. Once the rescue boat has recovered the individual from the water, it too must be recovered. This is never easy, even when the ship is stopped in the water. In a seaway, the master will navigate the ship to provide a lee. It will always be a demanding operation, requiring good boat skills and understanding and familiarity with the hook and falls arrangements. This procedure underlines the importance of regular exercises if the rescue boat crew are to respond well in a genuine emergency. The casualty will need good first aid. Where this is done will depend on time and circumstances. After the initial treatment based on the ABC principle, airway, breathing, and circulation, the casualty must be protected from the cold. If the casualty is not breathing, resuscitation will have to be done in the rescue boat. Remember that a person suffering from hypothermia may have a very weak pulse, so keep trying to revive them until they are warm, or until a person with medical training tells you to stop. If the casualty is not in a serious condition, more can be done in the relative stability of the ship after recovery of the rescue boat. Decisions will call for good medical training and quick thinking. Clear the airway, check breathing, and give expired air resuscitation if required. Keep the casualty horizontal. Rough handling can kill a person in a critical condition. If the person is hypothermic but conscious, they can be warmed using baths of water comfortably hot to the naked elbow. But care and constant observation are needed. Never forcibly warm an unconscious, very cold individual. And never leave a hypothermic casualty to warm themselves up on their own. Once recovery is underway, warm, sweet drinks can be given. Any casualty must be kept both lying down and under observation for possible breathing problems for at least 1 hour, no matter how well they say they feel. A man overboard emergency is a very rare occurrence. When it happens, time will be crucial. So everyone needs to know the procedures and equipment available on the ship as soon as they come on board. Watch this video again and make sure that you know what to do, as detailed in your ship's safety manuals.